So Adam wants me to do a video of the labor and delivery story, because we didn't keep a video diary of the actual labor, just the attempts of going into labor, or to try and start it anyways. So after our 2 failed attempts at induction, we decided let's just let things go, and everything's looking great. We had to do 2 ultrasounds within a week there to measure how things were going inside of me and how the baby's doing and all that. And then we also did a non-stress test, and it was also just basically saying that the baby is great and everything is going well. On the 2 ultrasounds, there was like a grading level of 8 things that they are looking for, and we got an 8 out of 8 both times, so there was absolutely nothing wrong. Also during that time, my blood pressure kind of stabilized and is back in the normal ranges, and so they're just thinking it was a fluke thing that day, that it was, ginormously high. Let's see. So we decided to let things go and, be natural, and then I also said that if it got to Friday of week 41, that we would induce, because there's more risks the later you go with having a high blood pressure. So I didn't want to have any problems with that. But there was no need to worry. My water broke. I believe it broke on Tuesday, the 16th of March, and I called the midwife and I said, I think my water broke. I'm not quite sure. And so I told her what had happened, and she's like, yeah, it could have broke, or, you might have just lost control of your bladder, and, it could be pee. And I'm like, well, it doesn't smell like urine, and I didn't feel like I peed my pants. So we went, and that was also the night that we were doing the non-stress test. And so usually if your water breaks, you will go into labor anywhere between 1 to 24 hours after it breaks. That's usually what happens. So we went and did the non-stress test, and we didn't tell them that we thought my water broke, because I didn't want them to say, okay, well, you have to stay here in the hospital, because I didn't want to give birth in the hospital. So we did that, and then since we were in Salem, we just decided, well, since we're halfway here, we could go walk around, Target or the mall, and hopefully that will start labor, because I've been having contractions all day on Tuesday, and they just weren't painful. It was, just contractions. And so we went and we were walking around, and they started getting regular, and they started getting hard for me to walk through, and they were consistently 3 to 5 minutes apart. And so we called the midwife and told her, but then when I sat down, they stopped for a few minutes and then started again, but then they were still consistently 5 minutes apart, even though they stopped for a few minutes. And she's like, well, if it was true labor, then they wouldn't stop no matter what activity you're doing. And so she's like, you just need to go home, go to sleep, and hopefully you'll start. So nothing happened that night, and on the 17th nothing happened except more irregular contractions. And then Thursday comes around, and we went for a walk after Adam got back from work. He had decided to go back to work so that he could actually have a few days with Maisie once she did get here. So once he got back, we went for a walk, and on the walk it was like, okay, either I am definitely peeing my pants and I just can't feel it, or my water is definitely broken and it's been broken. So I was feeling really frustrated with that, because it was the same feeling that I had on Tuesday that I described to the midwife, and she was just like, oh no. So we went home, and I called her. I made it very clear to her that I wanted to get checked, and I needed, her to take action. So that night we went to the birth center, and she did check it, and this was after she was trying to get me to do some stuff at home to kind of see, well, there's like some little like tests that you can do at home. It'll give them an idea if your water's broken. That it didn't work out, but I made it very clear that I did want to get checked, so she had to. And lo and behold, my water was broken. So she gave me the option of going home and hoping labor starts, since we've been hoping like since Tuesday, and sleeping through the night, and then coming in the morning and trying to do nipple stimulation with a breast pump to induce labor further if we haven't started. So that's what I did. I just didn't really want to be in the birth center that night, and I was already feeling a little frustrated. But then the next day came, and I got up and I didn't really want to go into the birth center. I was just kind of done. I was frustrated with how things were going, the fact that she didn't check me on Tuesday, and that, you know, just kind of all these things were building up, and I was feeling really frustrated, so I was taking my time going in. And so finally we went in the afternoon and started using breast pump, and well, we went for a walk because they have really pretty acreage out there, so we went for a walk hoping that would kind of start something. And it didn't, but when we got back, they had the breast pump all ready for me, and got to start using that. It's exciting. But it did start the contractions like they wanted, and it became a lot more regular, and did push me into labor. And so we started using that about 3:30 in the afternoon, and we're using it for 20 minutes every half an hour, or every hour. So that was exciting. And so we were doing that until I think about 9 o'clock. And when I said no, I'm done using it because it's pointless. I'm already having contractions. They're already regular enough. And so they continued, and I was laboring all night, and around, I think it was probably about 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, they checked me, and they're like, yeah, you're at a 9, you know, only a little bit left, and you could probably get in the bathtub and then start pushing soon. So I was like, sweet, you know, this baby's gonna be here. And so we get in the bathtub, and the contractions keep on coming, and it feels like they're more intense, and it was just kind of really a horrible feeling. And so we're trying and trying and trying, and I was in the bathtub for 5 hours, and nothing came of it. And I was throwing up during the time, and I was having contractions at the same time as I was throwing up, and I actually threw my back out, and my back was completely spazzed out for the rest of the day, and is still actually having issues. So they decided that, okay, the bathtub isn't working, maybe you should get out, and we'll try some other things. And so, because what was happening is the baby's head was aimed towards my right hip, so she wasn't presenting in a way that we could get her out easily and not have any complications. And so we were trying to get her to move her head, and we spent hours moving her. We got out of the bathtub about 11:30, and over the course of the next 6 hours, we tried getting her to move her head and tried getting her to cooperate, and it just wasn't working. And I have to do take part 2.